So hello, my name's Rob and this is Cattle Rabbit Scale Model Studios, and in this video it's the big one. We get to take a look at Warhammer Age of Sigmar Skaventide, the new box set, the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, kindly sent to me by Games Workshop so I can show it off nice and early and paint loads of stuff up and yada yada yada. There is rammed full of stuff, this box. A few little bits that I do want to point out, and there's just a lot to go through, so let's just crack on and get started. So I've had to pull the camera right back. This is an absolute massive box. Before I forget, like, subscribe, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Um, First thing I want to talk about is the artwork on the box. I always like to point this out. I thought this was really, really interesting in this instance because we actually see a combination of painted artwork and miniatures on front, which I actually really, really like. It's really unique looking, and not often do you see this from Games Workshop. So you buy your box of models, you get your nice heavy painted, or if you get to like the Harbinger or the Vanguard sets, I think it was called recently, it's all been painted artwork. But this is a good combination of seeing the Scaven and the Stormcast, the actual models themselves, with this kind of cool epic kind of, I believe this is the Lord Terminus on the front here. But if we just kind of move it over and take a look at the back, what we can actually see here is we've got this nice kind of battle scene laid out. It is interesting to note that they don't actually show you the scenery, which this box does come with, on the back. Bit weird. I thought it would have included everything, but obviously just the first bite is with the eye, so I do believe presentation and to be quite clear cut with it. If this is your entrance into Age of Sigmar, you'd kind of want to see it painted, or not, at least I would. There is a little picture at the bottom, but I think this is going to be one of the Spearhead box sets that comes out later on, so it doesn't include everything. It tells you what you get on there. There's a a big chunk of stuff with your core book, your Spearhead book. There's a game board in here, General's Handbook, some terrain, and you've got your Stormcast, your Skaven, all that good stuff. What I am going to do in this video, I'm going to mainly focus on the sprues and the building instructions to give you any tips and any hints that I've come across, and then we'll just look at the rest of it after. So starting with the Scaven, these really piqued my interest. I've never painted Scaven before and I didn't really know that much about them, if I'm honest with you. But this is the Claw Lord on the Norbeast. Now I have painted one of these up, you will see it during the instructions kind of side of things. This is really clever how this goes together. It's got a lovely sculpted base. Once again, it could be hit or miss, depends if you like that sort of thing. The rider can be kept completely separate from the Norbeast, which can be kind of relatively, bar a couple of toes, be kept separate from the base. So in actual fact, if you work in sub-assemblies, this is a really, really good model. The other thing I will say, very clever how it hides all the seam lines and the cloaks and things like that. There are some, but I think the Skaven get away with it because they're a little bit of ragtag and stitched together. So it kind of works in the model's favour. Then we've got the Rat Ogres. Now you get 3 of these. Now the Skaven, in my opinion, kind of get the short straw when it comes to options. Once again, I painted one of these guys up. You do get 3 of these guys. They're kind of big hulking brute rats. The only option you get is the champion can either have like this warp blaster type gun, or you can give him another claw like the other 2 that have claws. And then you do get a choice of heads with these guys, so it's either a helmeted option or a unhelmeted option. So maybe if you're not that confident with doing like the little rat faces and things like that, the helmet options definitely kind of help you out a little bit here. But once again, these are really big chunky models. I think they're on big 50mm bases, so they're big boys, and there's a sprue and a half of them here, as you can see. Then we move on to the Grey Seer and the Warlock Engineer. Now these come on one little sprue. Again, I've painted the Grey Seer up. Very clever how he goes together in 2 halves, and then the arms kind of clip round him, hiding some of the seam lines. Not all of them, but again, I think you do get away with it. And then the Engineer is very basic, and in comparison, he kind of just pushes together a couple of flat little sections. Lovely detail on the Grey Seer. I think I really, really like this model. The Grey Seer is probably one of my favourite from the box. Between this and the Claw Lord, he's very reminiscent of the old Skaven artwork, especially like we've seen on the battle tomes recently and things like that. So he's got a really, really cool aesthetic to him. He stands on this really cool kind of like collapsed bell, which is very good. Then we have the Warp Block Jezzails. I think I'm saying that right. Again, not many options for these. You either get a choice of guns for the champion, and that's it. They are exactly what you see. I think out the whole box, I do think the Scaven have got the more interesting models, but I think personally, just in my opinion, they don't really, these don't tickle me in the right places. But I don't know, I just don't know enough about them. But they just seem very bland and a little bit kind of, not much to them, where there's better models. Not saying this is a bad model, there's just better models in the box. But I guess they serve a purpose. Again, not so familiar with these, but the detail on them is very cool. Then we move over to this is the Rattling Warp Blaster. I kept wanting to say Warp Fire Cannon, it's not, that's the other one I was looking at online. Again, very clever how this goes together, and you'll see that more in the instructions in a bit. You kind of build the middle section and everything kind of pushes around it. Really good for sub-assemblies again, and this is probably the biggest model from the box as well. It's on quite a big, beefy base. It's only one sprue. Rather sadly, this did get leaked a little while ago, I believe, this one, which is a shame. I always like the thrill of seeing new models, so I think a lot of people are kind of familiar with the sprue on this one, so there's not really too much to kind of talk about with this. And then we move over to the bulk of the Skaven, which is the clan rats. Now you get 20 of these, I believe. Not many options. I think about 14 of them are fairly static, and 6 you get a choice of, you know, banners or not banners, drum or no drum. Not much to write about with these. I think this is the main thing that puts me off of Skaven armies, is the massive horde aspect of it. I'm not a horse like kind of painter. I'll stick to my trolls for that one, I think. Thank you very much. But again, the detail's really lovely. Good banners, lots of parts here if you wanted to kit bash stuff. Very cool. And then just quickly, this is the terrain sprue. You kind of have this little range ruler built onto it, and you can kind of see that it is a slightly different plastic. This is like more like the chunkier stuff you see that Games Workshop kind of get made from China. I think it's quite cool that you do get some scenery with the starter set. It's kind of got like all this cool scratched in Skaven iconography. It's like a good twist on the scenery that you have at the moment for Age of Sigmar, which is a little bit lacking actually. I've made a point of talking about that before. So hopefully we see bigger expanded sets on this. Ruined Skaven kind of dingy holes. Absolutely love it. Big sucker for scenery, so these tickle me in all the right places. Okay, so moving on to the Stormcast Eternals, we start with the Lord Vigilant on Griffstalker. Now, one thing I will point out they have done, which annoyed me really massively with Soul Wars, is we actually do have a sculpted underbelly for our Griffstalker now. It used to be a Griff Charger, I believe. Really cool. The only thing I will point out about this model is, for as clever as all the other models are with seam lines and how they've hidden them, this one just has a massive section of cape that is just in the middle that you'll need to join. So if it is going to bother you, get your green stuff at the ready, because you're going to need to do a bit of work on this one to make it look spot on. That's, you know, if you don't mind the seam lines being in the back of the cape, it's not the end of the world really. But a really epic model, and it really mirrors the Clawlord really well, this figure. So absolutely fantastic looking model. Then we've got the this is the Lord Veritant, I believe. You'll have to bear with me, I'm a little bit out of touch with the Stormcast stuff, and the box for me to read things off are a little bit out of the way. But you kind of get this cool Griff hound with it. It's not a figure, it counts as a token, so that's to be aware of, and it just goes together in these cool little slices. Again, there is a little bit of join in the cape, not the end of the world. This one's kind of hidden quite well, as you can see. I actually like this guy quite a lot. I think he's got a really cool aesthetic. I love his flaming sword, but we'll see more about that a little bit later. Then we've got the brand new Prosecutors. These were the first models that ever gave me a heart attack, because they used to be attached by that little tiny bit of ribbon that used to dangle down. However, they've kind of remedied that now by putting it on like these little tactical rocks. Not many options for these. You either give the champion a trident, or you just build them with the regular spears, but everyone does get a head option Obviously, really looking forward to a multi-part kit of these. I think the wings you're going to see a lot of people using for kit bashes and stuff like that. So there's definitely, I think it's going to be a bit of a favourite with people. They're just really cool. I think prosecutors lately, I guess over the years, have become less and less, especially now they've been upscaled. So it's really good to see these guys back. The wings are just absolutely, the way they've sculpted them, really, really lovely. Now we move over to quite a big jumbo sprue. These are your Reclusians, your Memorians, your Night Quester, and your Lord Terminus. So it's all kind of divided up into, you've got two kind of sections of the Reclusians, and then you've got your champions with the odd one at the end. Not too much to say about these. It's very standard affair for the Stormcast. The only thing I will point out is how big the Lord Terminus actually is. He stands on a rock and he's a really imposing figure. He's probably something that I will paint up in the near future just for myself, as it's a lovely model and he's absolutely massive. You don't realise. Also, the Memorians, really cool. I can see them being turned into Watchers for my Dark Angels army. And then we've got the Liberators. You get two identical sprues here, as you can see, much like mirroring the Clan Rats, where it's two identical sprues. These guys do get a bit more, I guess, options to play around with. You can either build them with the shields. One always has to have a ground hammer, I believe, and then you get the choice of having two hammers or hammer and shield. You also get a few head options with these, which is really, really nice. Again, now, Liberators were the first model I ever painted up when I started the Warhammer hobby. So the little dumpy guys, I've got a bit of a soft spot and a bit of a warm place in my heart. However, I do think these look really, really cool. I like the champion with the plume. I just think they're really well done. So now we move over to the build instructions. Now this is the point that I really wanted to talk about, because this is, in fact, going to impact what models you might choose and might put you off and things like that. So you can see we've got the cool size guide for the base. I really like that. You've got this little range ruler again that you can kind of make together. I don't know why they just didn't throw in one of those see-through plastic ones, but regardless. Now looking at the Lord on the Gryphstalker, we've spoken about him with the gaps in the cape, and obviously you can see here there is a little bit of a mistake, and this was pointed out. It says here in the instructions that the Gryph helm goes on the 25mm. That's wrong. He actually goes on the 32. Everything else goes together really kind of standard with no issues with the Stormcast. You've got the nice capes. If you are going to build these in sub-assemblies, they might be a little bit more difficult to put together. However, probably very achievable if I'm honest with you. And then you've got your Memorians down here and things like that. Moving on to the Prosecutors, again, there's not too much to kind of say about these. There's not many options. The wings don't look, that troublesome, and obviously they're on sculpted bases now that sliding, so making these guys stand up, I mean, they're not going to wobble as much, which is, where the heart attacks used to stem from. But I think they've done a really good job with the Prosecutor side of things. Moving over to Liberators, as you can see, two actually always have to have a ground hammer, but because you get 2 units of 5, you can actually build both variants from this box, which is pretty cool. Big fan of that. Again, a few head options. There's you get a choice of some of the rubble that you can put down, so you can mix and match on the rocks and stuff like that. And as you can see here, that's what they've done. They've made a squad of each, which is probably what I would do. Moving over to the Scaven side of things, the Claw Lord, again, he can be kept separate from the base, and the rider can be kept separate from the guy. As you can see, this is the guy that I painted up. I've done him in Clan Scurvy colours. He was an absolute joy to paint up, especially for my first ever Scaven model, because I was able to do it in 3 sections, which was the base, the monster, and the rider himself. It's jam-packed with detail, and the only thing I can kind of point out is that he does get a little bit of a seam line across some of his face. If you miss that, it's not the end of the world. I got to admit, I didn't pick all of it up and feel all of it, but I don't think it really kind of matters. As you can see here, so what I'm talking about, he can kind of be kept separate from everything, which makes him really, really fun and easy to paint, which is quite cool. Then the Grey Seer himself, again, you build the middle of him, the arms clip round, not too much to write home about with this guy. Same for the Engineer. Here you can see my Grey Seer. you know, everything's kind of hidden quite well. I do think the Skaven side of things got a bit more attention than the Stormcast personally, but maybe just the new design didn't translate so well to kind of the box models. But you know, it's one of those things as part of the process. Yeah, the Warplock engineer down here, um, he just goes given 3 bits. There's nothing to write home really about him. No problems. The not warp fire cannon thing. Um, as a, you know, like I was saying, you build the middle and then you build out, which is great because it makes the rider look like he's encased in all this kind of cables and stuff like that, and the guy's pushing it along. Again, really clever design, but then it's a high-end product, so it's, you know, you expect nothing less from that sort of thing. The rat ogres, again, only the champion gets a choice of different arm parts, which is the kind of gun arm and the kind of like crab clawy type arm, and then you get the choice of heads, and that's it. Um, you get a few little bits that you can pop onto the bases, like skulls and stuff like that, which, you know, can be mixed and matched. But again, not a lot to write home about with these. They're actually quite big. I was quite surprised how big these rat ogres were. Here you can see the one that I painted up, nice and chunky, all in one piece. You know, no need for sub assemblies, which is great actually. It was just really fun to kind of work on these guys, and conversion wise, the heads swap out really easily. Morbeg Knight, the bat things, swap heads over. Oh, they look rabid. It's fantastic. And then your Giselles, again, your champion is the only thing that gets a choice. It's only the gun that changes, and then that's it. Everything is done exactly the same. These are completely static. It's a shame they didn't just give a few little options, maybe a different shield for him to rest on, but you know, maybe with a mark kit we'll see that remedied. And then obviously moving over to the clan rats. Now obviously this make up the biggest section of the box, because you do get a hell of a lot of these. Um, you get a few little choices up here where you can pick your kind of clan, and it's a little bit catered to. So if you like Eshin or um, uh, Pyre, I believe they're called, you can kind of build some little variants. Skyer, that's it. Sorry, not Pyre. And then yeah, you get obviously a choice of whether you want a banner or not, whether you drummer or not. You know, there's not too much to kind of, you know, write about these. There's, in my opinion, there's just enough detail on them because you're going to be painting a lot of these, but they do look really cool as well. So I probably will paint up a few of these. If you want to know how I did my clan scurvy kind of scheme, let me know, and I'll in the comments below, and I'll put together a little video. But I'll only do that if people ask. And then the scenery, again, nothing to write home about. They just clip together 2 big bits of chunky plastic just being glued together. That's all there is for these. It's just cool that you get a little bit of scenery with it. And that's kind of the build instructions and noteworthy points. So then we move on to the extras. Now in here you do get these little sheet shirts. You get 2 of these, and as you can see from the indentations, they've done its job and they have protected what was underneath. You also get this fantastic Skaventide artwork with, I believe it's Clan Sky. I'm really awful with the Skaven clans. Facing off against the Hallowed Knights. Very cool. And you get 2 of them. So if you do split the box, you get to share one with a friend. Now, if you've been following my Kill Team unboxings, this will look really familiar. Again, you get this lovely kind of cardboard wallet, the Lord Terminos there. So it's just such a cool looking figure. Absolutely, really good. Here you have, now these are your, I do believe it's your spearhead deck. You get ploys and like little tactical cards here, just nicely presented. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to skim over this kind of section because I haven't played an Age of Sigmar game in absolutely ages, and I'm more of a painter these days, so a lot of this is really going over my head. Nicely presented, you've got nice artwork on it. I think it's quite good. And then here you've got this is your General's Handbook card. Now, I wasn't sure what my NDA would allow me to kind of show, my embargo, etc. So I kind of didn't show these off. I can show them off since this video has been released. So if you are interested in seeing a bit more in depth of these, I'll happily go through them. Once again, let me know in the comments below if you want me to go through anything on a live. I'm more than happy to. And then we've got this really cool playing mat. Got a nice little bit of cardboard there, keeps everything nice and snug. You've got this lovely kind of fiery look on one side, and then this dirty green kind of, you know, I guess verdant kind of landscape on the back. Really nice. I actually didn't know you got a cardboard playing mat in this box set, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I am going to talk a little bit more just about this, about the problems I have with this in a minute. And then you've got this lovely kind of envelope in here. It's all sealed, and you get your core book, and then you get your Spearhead Fire and Jade book. Again, I can't show this off at the moment. You'll have to let me know if you want me to go through it all in the comments below. Yada yada yada. It's all nicely kind of presented and things like that. Now the problem I kind of have with this, and this is an unboxing, it's not a review, so these are subjective problems, and there's probably going to be someone that's going to annoyed. It's worth noting you don't get dice with this, and it's a shame, because if they just threw in a cheap pack of dice, you would have a fantastic start set for absolutely everything. The only other problem I have with this box is that you don't actually get the rules for your units in this box set. That's right, you have to go online and download them. Now that might seem a small thing, but I think this is the first box set we've seen where the rules for the units aren't included. I actually reached out to Games Workshop and I said, where are the rules? I can't find them. Now you do get rules for your Spearhead. Now the Spearhead has different rules because it doesn't have certain keywords, so the rules are different. And the Spearhead doesn't include all the models that are in the box. So straight out the box, there are 4 units that don't actually have rules, which are, I believe, the Jezzails, the Big Warclock Blasters, the Reclusians, and I believe it's the Night Questor, I believe. Which is a bit of a shame. I think it mars the box a little bit. Quickly, you do get this little thing. This is an online thing at the moment. When this is released, you go on, you play a game with your mates, you log it, and whoever wins, it changes narrative. Love stuff like that. But those are the only gripes I kind of have with the box. This is a fantastic place to start, especially if you're interested in Stormcast or Scaven, but do just be aware that obviously there aren't rules in the box, and if you do go with the Spearhead stuff, you've got units that you actually can't use because you won't have rules for them, so just be aware of that. Other than that, get yourself some dice. This is a fantastic box to start with. It's really well presented. The artwork in the core book is absolutely lovely. Again, let me know if you want an in-depth look at anything extra. I'll always pop on a live and show it off, and we'll take it from there. But look, again, thanks to Games Workshop for sending me this. It's been an absolute pleasure playing around with this and, you know, just getting this nice and early. But that's it from me in this one. I'll see you all next time. God bless and take care.